Afternoon, everyone. It's Jim here, back with Graham, who's actually downstairs in the office. Graham, are you down there? Are you up there?
I am actually downstairs. There's the proof.
Not that in the warehouse,
to you, tape is proof. No, I am down here.
Anyway, welcome everyone to our sixth AQA A-Level Business live session for this term. And well, we're taking a break because we're going on our tour, aren't we, Graham? On our Strong Foundations tour, going to London, Birmingham, and Manchester the week after next. So maybe we'll catch you if you get a chance to meet us on that workshop tour. And so this is 3.6. We've done 3.1 all the way through to 3.5, now 3.6, which is all about HR. And 30 minutes, as usual, on a variety of topics. Not all of them, but nice selection of topics on 3.6, including a couple of calculations relevant to that part of the specification. Graham, what are we starting with on this session? Or anything else you want to say before we get going?
No, not really. No, I think you've covered it all. But as always, if you are new to joining us, welcome. Please, where you can, type your answers into the chat window, and we will pick up on those. Any queries, please get involved. The more, the merrier. We're going to start off, aren't we, as usual, with a little activity called the Big Reveal, which is 5 clues, all relating to the name of a business. If you think you can solve the name of that business after each clue, then please type your answer even into the chat window. Now, this is, I saw this for the first time today because I had a go of it. And it's tricky, this one, Jim. I think it's a tricky one, but I'm sure... I'm sure someone may get it. So shall I look clue number 1?
By the way, you can have as many goes as you want. So it's not the first, I mean, that's not an invitation to paste 55,000 entries in, but have a go. Here's the first clue.
So founded in 2009 by Garrett Camp and Travis Kalanick. So if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I know a business that was founded in 2009 by Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, well, type that answer into the chat window.
Yeah.
Chances are you will be right. If the business you're thinking of was founded in 2010, has to be wrong. Let's look at clue number 2. So Ryan Graves became the first employee by responding to a post on Twitter. So any ideas? Any ideas? I would imagine it is a bonus clue that most of our audience will be familiar with this business. And wow. Wow. Well
All
done.
I can say is wow.
Well done, Autumn.
We'll come back to why I was saying wow. But for those of you watching on replay, you're thinking, what are these two on? We've just had an amazing answer in, and 2 amazing answers into to the chat window. We have been beaten, haven't we, G? Should we go through the final 3 clues there?
Yeah, so for those who haven't got the answer, is in the US has a 27% market share for food delivery. So it's obviously a food delivery business. Clue number 4. Aims to become 100% carbon net zero worldwide by 2040 with 100% use of electric vehicles by 2030. And
looks like we've lost G there. I'm sure he'll dial back in at some stage. I'll keep going whilst he dials back in. We have got the 5th clue there, which is the business name is derived from the German word meaning above all the rest. And Bally was correct. Here comes Graham again. We lost him downstairs. Let's get him back in. Welcome back, G.
Yeah.
I was just saying that the first person that got it correct was awesome. With I think it was on the 2nd clue, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good.
There we are, the correct answer. Uber. Good stuff. Very kind comment coming in from Nima as well here, who's actually watching from university. Superb stuff. Right. Should we crack on with the activities then, G? We have 30 minutes.
Yes, let's go for it.
Fast-paced revision. Oh, we're starting off with some MCQs.
Okay, so please type your answer into the chat window. So you've got a question here. Which of the following would be considered a hygiene factor for employees working in a factory? Is it A, recognition, B, safe working conditions, C, achievement, D, varied and interesting work? So all you need to do is type in the corresponding letter to what you believe to be the correct answer. So answers starting to come in.
Wow.
Very, very quick. So which of the following will be considered a hygiene factor for employees working in a factory? For those who are already typing an answer, can you maybe type in what whose motivational theory that relates to for a little bonus question there? So is it recognition? Is it safe working conditions? Is it achievement? Is it varied and interesting work? So I think so far, I think everyone, Jim, has
100%.
got that answer right. Shall we reveal the answer for those who maybe haven't?
Yep.
And it is safe working conditions. It's not actually Maslow, that theory, or Haslow. It's Hertzberg. It's 2-factor theory. So safe working conditions are hygiene factor. Freddie Hertzberg, because the hygiene factors surround the job. Well done,
yeah, we're in good
everyone.
shape. That's a very good
Jim?
start. I think that's the first time we've ever had everybody. We've had lots of entries in the live chat. Everyone got it right. Cracking start. Here's question 2, and it's one of these 2-statement questions. Don't forget, you're likely to get 2 or 3 of these in if you're taking AQA paper 1 next summer, and the examiner likes these because she or he can test 2 or 3 different topics at the same time. So it's easy, just work out whether each statement is true or false. Statement 1 there, a business makes a significant number of redundancies. This is likely to reduce the rate of turnover in the year the redundancies occur. Statement 2, a business decides to redeploy staff from one location to another. This will increase the rate of labour turnover. So what do you think? True, false, true, or false? Give you 15 seconds or so to have a think about those 2 statements. That was quite a tricky question, wasn't it, G? We thought long and hard about this one. Not an easy one.
This one is a tricky question. But the good thing about this question is the answer is on screen.
It is. That's true. Like most MCQs. Amy's gone D. Foxfly. Welcome back, Foxfly. And Sarah have gone C. Just picking up some of the people who are typing into the live chat. Not everyone is typing to live chat. That's fine. You don't have to if you don't want to. Shall we have a look at the answer? The answer is, well, we think it's D. I think the first bit's easy, false, isn't it? Yeah, a large number of redundancies, lots of people leaving the business in the year in which that happens. That's going to lead to a higher rate, not a reduced rate of labour turnover. Labour turnover is the rate at which people leave the business. Statement 2, redeployment is keeping people in the business, so they don't leave. They simply move from one location to another. They're still employed, still in the business. Therefore, the redeployment itself will have no impact, will it, on the rate of labour turnover as defined by the formula, which is the average number of people leaving the business, or the number of people leaving the business divided by the average number of people employed, because no one's left as a consequence of the redeployment. So that's why we went for D, but that's a hard one. Have a look at this one. Oh, this one's on Hackman and Oldham, G.
Yeah, so which of the following is not an element of Hackman and Oldham's model of job design? So, by inference, 3 of them are elements of Hackman and Oldham's model of job design. 1 certainly isn't. Is it hierarchy, autonomy, task identity, or feedback? Is it A, B, C, or D? So whatever you think it is, type that into the chat window. Hackman and Oldham, one of the key models and theories for AQA A-Level Business. Only been examined once, I believe, so far. So one maybe to look out for in the 2023 exams. And I think so far...
Yeah, we're in good shape.
I think we're in very good shape. And that's a tricky model, that one. Should we reveal the answer? It is indeed hierarchy. Nothing to do with Hackman and Oldham's model of job design. Hierarchy more to do with organizational design and organizational structure. Shall we have a look at our next question?
Yeah, one more MCQ here. So the business, or a business, increases the average number of subordinates reporting to each manager, and it removes a layer of management. So what is the combined effect of those changes? Is it a narrower span of control and taller hierarchy, or is it some other combination of those two? So I guess the good thing about this question is it's definitely about span of control and hierarchy. The question is, which one of those is it? So you have to sort of piece the evidence together from the stem there. So the business increases the average number of subordinates reporting to each manager. What does that mean? And it removes a layer of management. What does that mean? And then that should help you spot the right combination there of narrow, wide, tall, and flat. Good question, that one. An examiner favourite. Good way of testing 2 different concepts there, span of control and hierarchy. Most people, Charlotte is in there very quickly, along with Foxfly, Sarah, IME, lots of people coming in now, RT11, all going for the same answer, which I think is good news, G, isn't it? Should we have a look at the answer?
Yeah.
It is C. Yeah, so the span of control, it's the number of subordinates that report to a manager. Well, if you increase that number, that's a wider span of control, i.e. more people. And also, if we remove a layer of the management structure, or the management, a layer of management, that is flattening, isn't it? Flattening the pyramid, making the hierarchy flatter, fewer layers in the hierarchy. Anything to add to that, G? What do you think?
No. I just think as you move towards mocks and things like that, pay particular attention to this type of MCQs. As Jim said, they can be tricky, and they do examine a couple of concepts. So read them carefully, take your time, make sure you select the correct answer. Shall we move on? Now it's a calculation question, and I'm hoping, and I don't know, that you've selected the Disney style music for the students to enjoy whilst they're working this out. Now, calculators at the ready, or you maybe could do it in your head. So last year, a business produced 728,000 units with a workforce of 400. Calculate the weekly labor productivity per worker last year. We're going to give you 60 seconds to do it, and then we'll run through some exam gold recalculations. So Jim, start the music, please.
Can't hear the music.
Oh, I can't hear it either. We might have to hum Disney style music.
Not to worry. We'll get that sorted out for our Christmas special.
We need to mention the Christmas special. We can't not mention the Christmas special. So lots of answers coming in. Now, what's really interesting is, and we get asked a lot, what's the best piece of exam advice you can give us? It's read the question carefully. Read the question very, very carefully, because you can see some slightly misconceptions in the answers. So if we read the question again before we read the answer, it was the weekly labour productivity per worker. So you were given, the yearly number of units produced as well as the workforce. And this is why, and we say this every week and we'll continue to say it, showing your working out or your process is so important, because if you just put in 1,820, the yearly amount, and you just wrote that, you would get 0 marks. If you showed your working out, an examiner could say, well, actually, you've got part of the workings out correctly, you will get some marks. So here's how it's worked out, and the answer is indeed 35 units per worker. And it is really important as well to not just put 35, it is 35 units per worker. So 728,000 divided by 400 gives us the answer. Units per worker. That's why it's so important to read the question carefully and also show your process of your working out. It may be even a formula. That would be really, really handy. Well done, everyone, for showing. So we've got some examples of the process within the chat window. That's great to see. But again, quite a tricky question, and one that is used quite often, Jim, in terms of, trying to get students, especially things like break even, calculating monthly or weekly break even when you're given the yearly figure. So read the question carefully.
Yeah. Let's do another. One more. I'm not sure what's happened to my Disney music, but we'll get it sorted at some stage. So we've got a supermarket chain. Again, it's last year. And last year, the supermarket chain employed an average of 25,600 people. It's quite a big chain. 5% of those staff were based at head office. And last year, 85 head office workers left the business. So what was the labour turnover rate within head office last year? So a bit of information to process there. Looks like there's a couple of calculations to do. We're looking for the labour turnover rate. So hopefully, as Graham mentioned before, we're looking for a particular type of unit or particular type of number there. And, I won't say any more. Let's start the clock. Oh, hello. We have the music back. Makes the question easier, doesn't it? There it is. The music is over. So labour turnover rate. So we are looking for a percentage, because labour turnover is the number of people leaving the business, in this case, head office workers, divided by the average number of people employed. In this case, the average would be the number employed at head office, wouldn't it? So you need to compare, what is the labour turnover? How many people are leaving head office? Not how many head office people are leaving the business in total. That's the labour turnover rate we're looking for. So should we go through the answers to this one? Looks like that's challenged a number of us on the live stream. So there's sort of 2 parts of this really, aren't there? First, we need to work out how many people are working at head office. Well, we were told it's 5% of the 25,600. So lots of people in the live chat worked out that there's 1,280 people working at head office on average. and 85 of them left. So we express our labour turnover rate as the number who left, 85, divided by 1/80. But don't forget, as Graham mentioned before, it's important to get the units right. In this case, labour turnover is a percentage rate. And we've gone to 1 decimal place. Charlotte's correctly pointed out in the live chat, you could go to 2 decimal places. What's your thoughts on decimal places, G? Would you go with by default to 1 or 2, or just as long, it doesn't matter as long as you're expressing?
Yeah, and if a question was specifically explicit and said to do decimal places, then you would have to do that.
But you get the marks for 6.6%
is fine. 6.6% is fine. 6.64% is fine. And just to pick up on something, so the first part of that calculation, required you to find a percentage of a number. And once again, the examiner's reports for this year's exams, as previous years have mentioned, percentages still causing students a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah.
So make sure you can find a percentage of another number. You can calculate a percentage increase and a percentage decrease, because that will pay dividends, if you pardon the pun, in an exam. That was a tough question, but again, showing what the value of showing step by step your process, because there will be marks for every element of the calculation. Good stuff.
I think that's probably the last calculation, isn't it? Which is a relief for me, and possibly a relief for quite a few people on the live chat. But well done for having to go at those. So we're halfway through now. So that must mean it's time for the application spinner, or the definition application spinner. Do you want to do the first one, G?
Yes. The only thing I miss about the calculations is I know I will not hear that Disney music for at least a couple of weeks in this case. So the application spinner, let's see what we are presented with. So we've got define with an example what is meant by. So we've got a range of key terms here that have been pulled by the Tutor2 algorithm from all the key terms across the AQA A-Level specification. Jim and I have got no idea what it's going to land on, and that is why Jim and I get very excited. As excited as you, because we do not know what's going to land on. So Jim, can you start the spinner, please? There it goes. I'm hoping it's on soft HRM. It's hygiene factors. What's the odds of that? What's the odds on hygiene factors? Because we touched on hygiene factors earlier.
We did, didn't we?
What we'd like is a definition and an example of a hygiene factor. Now, you were given an example of a hygiene factor in the previous MCQ. Try and come up with a different hygiene factor. So what is a hygiene factor? What is a hygiene factor? And an example of a hygiene factor. Now, in the exam papers, the past couple of years, there has been definition questions.
They have.
So what is meant by the term? So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that you may get a question on hygiene factors, especially as I can't think that hygiene factors has been examined, because we're looking at that today. Hygiene factors is not actually been examined. We've got some cracking answers coming in. A feature of a job.
What we'll do, like last week, G, I'll stick 1 or 2 of these on the screen there just to showcase the answers as they're coming in. Hopefully, we won't get a chance to do them all, but well done for typing them in. Great work from Ivy and Charlotte coming in here.
Yeah. Can we? So this is really good. So about pay or comfortable working conditions. Can we have? Can we put Charlotte up there? Factors that need to exist to prevent demotivation. I really like that. Prevent demotivation, but aren't motivators themselves. So that is a really good. Both them definitions are fantastic, and I like the contrasting there. They prevent demotivation, but don't motivate themselves, with 2 really good examples drawn from Hertzberg's theory. So we've got Sam Broadbent, standard stuff like money and that. Well, to the point, but you're not wrong. Now, so the way I explain it to students is factors that simply can reduce dissatisfaction, but on their own don't motivate, or factors that demotivate workers if not present, but do not in themselves actually motivate. So we've got poor working conditions, low wages. So what you'll tend to find is an easy way of remembering is hygiene factors surround the job, whereas motivators are to do with the actual job. So if your job's interesting and meaningful, that's a motivator. Whereas good working conditions isn't about the actual job you do, it merely surrounds the job. So some absolutely fantastic
well done
definitions there. And I think what we'll find that hygiene factors disappears.
It should do if the algorithm works. Presumably
we'll
somewhere up there in the cloud, it's saying hygiene factor needs to disappear, and it draws something else from 3.6. Let's see.
We'll soon find out.
Yeah.
Now it's been replaced by authority. So let's spin the wheel again. I'm still hoping for soft HRM, but too sure.
It's a longer one though.
Oh, delegation. It is quite windy outside. It probably was on soft HRM, just blew across. So can you give a definition of delegation and maybe an example?
This is quite a hard one, I think, isn't it? I think this is a hard one.
Delegation is it's not an easy term. And the thing is with delegation, a lot of students use this concept, even if they're not particularly asked, for example, a question on, ways to maybe motivate employees, and a standard response will increase delegation. But what is delegation and how does that work in practice? So what do we think? What do we mean by the term? So Ebony straight in there, I can see and Sam there with Sam's definition is interesting there. Giving someone else the task you've been given to do. There's a saying, isn't it? Don't do, delegate. So Imy's so we've got Ella there, some great answers.
Wow.
Imy's passing authority support. I mean, that's what it is, isn't it? That's in a nutshell. That's what it is. So in terms of an example, so we've got a little bit of an example there from Imy there, giving directions to a subordinate. We've got another one.
Loads coming in here. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
This idea of passing down doesn't have to be down the hierarchy, does it? It could be to the person next to you, or to somebody else.
It doesn't. I think it's normally associated, isn't it, with someone lower down in the chain? But
it is.
If you're busy, if you're busy and say, "Would you mind? Can you help me out here?" I mean, you're still accountable for that, even though you've delegated it. It's still your responsibility, but you're just passing down your authority to do something. So should we have a look at our definition? Yeah. So we've give quite a specific example here. So authority for tasks are passed down or passed to, a subordinate. For example, shop workers in a supermarket may be allowed to take responsibility to deal with customer complaints. So you might have a manager in, frozen foods, who allows their staff to actually deal with, complaints. Is an example of delegation. Phenomenal answers
really well done
in the chat window. Have we got one more of these, Jim?
We have, I was just thinking about to last week and this week, we're seeing real precision, aren't we, with these responses, which for this stage of the course is very encouraging, actually. Anyway, let's see.
Definitely.
Delegation presumably gets replaced by something. It starts
decentralization.
With D. Okay.
So let's spin the wheel and find out where we are.
Seem to have lost my spinner sound, but anyway.
Centralization. So can we have a definition and an example of centralization? Just to pick up on something, it's really important to be precise with your definitions. Often, I think there was a question on decentralization a while back, and a lot of students got confused with delegation. They are two different concepts.
That's a good point from Tom. We could potentially look at maybe making these sessions maybe at 5 and then 6, couldn't we? Rather than 4:30.
Yeah.
Just picking up on Tom's point in the live chat. We'll have a think about that, Tom. Wouldn't want you to miss it. There's a lot of fun going on. Here we go. Let's stick Foxfly. Welcome back. Decisions made at the top, G.
Yeah. So it refers to a tall structure. So there's a bit of application there when decisions are made at the top by managers and leaders, when business decisions are made at the top of the organization and passed down to the center, employees, doesn't it? The hierarchy. The top. The center. Decisions are made centrally, e.g. in head office. Now, I think that's where the term centralization means. We know what you mean by the top of the organization, but traditionally, businesses would have a head office, which would be in the center of the organization.
Yeah.
And decision making would be, all the key decisions would be made.
Yeah.
Decisions being made from the top, minimal involvement. So, I think we know what, and both centralization and decentralization have their unique advantages and Disadvantages, well done, everyone. So we've got where decision making is based in the centre, e.g. decisions are taken by the CEO or the board of directors rather than taken by others outside of senior management. Okay, I think we're on to some
last activity, isn't it? It's give me twos.
Yeah,
give me twos. We've got a couple of these, haven't we? So over to you, G, to lead through. Again, I'll look out for answers to this. I'm not sure whether my bongo music will play this time, but 30 seconds for this one, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. So Dell allows workers to choose their hours and work remotely some or all of the time. Staying connected with tools such as Microsoft Teams. Give me two benefits to Dell of having a flexible working culture. So they've also got a flexible workforce. They've got a culture where Dell workers can choose to choose their hours or work remotely some or all of the time. So at the end of the music, we'd really like two, if possible, contextualized reasons or in relation to the benefits of having this flexible working culture. Jim, can we start the music, please?
So the clock started. We've got 30 seconds for this one.
Yeah.
It's the, I don't know, have you ever heard that soundtrack from the Silent Movie?
Oh, I had to turn it down. It was too loud. So two really important words when you're answering questions such as this is how and why. So, for example, we've got some answers because Sam's really quick there. Increase morale amongst employees. So obviously we're only asking for knowledge, but in an exam situation, we want to know, well, how does it increase morale? Why is that important to a business such as Dell? So how or why? So staff will be more motivated. How, as they can choose when it's best to work for them. So we've got the how there. And why might that benefit Dell? So we've got some really good stuff. Increased motivation. Staff have more freedom. It's interesting because we could link this, couldn't we, to a motivation thesis. If, for example, I've been given, I'm allowed and trusted to choose my own hours, that potentially could meet my esteem needs. So we can maybe link it with a bit of Maslow's theory there. So we've got motivate staff, increased responsibility. So I think we've got the nuts and bolts.
Maybe just need a little bit more application, don't we, as well?
Yeah, a little bit more application. So
good stuff there.
So makes it easier to recruit and retain specialist staff such as computer engineers. Now that's important. It's a very competitive market with the skills in high demand. So a potential employee might think, well, actually, I want to work for Dell because it gives me that greater work-life balance. So not only easy to recruit, but retain. That can cut down on recruitment costs. And we've got some context such as seasoning there, computer engineers. And we've got helps meet esteem needs. So we've used a bit of a theory there. We don't need to explain it's Maslow. We know it's Maslow. We can pick up on that. Helps meet esteem needs of staff by Dell being seen to trust employees to work and collaborate remotely. So that remotely roots is context. We've got a little bit of theory in there. So well done, everyone. So that was a useful activity.
Apologies, not got a chance to add all the answers in the live chat to the screen there, but we've got 3 or 4 more. And we've got one more sort of mini case study, haven't we? Should we have a look at the last one, G?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. So some call center workers are paid based on how many calls they make and receive. So we've got 2 consequences of paying staff based on their performance. Now remember, consequences, it could be a positive consequence, it may be a negative consequence. So remember, we're talking about call center workers, we're talking about a sort of method of really piecework. They're paid on how many calls they make and receive. So what could be the consequences of paying staff this way? So I'm not sure if we've got any music, but I'm certainly we've got a timer.
We can start the clock, can't we? Let's start the timer.
We'll start the clock. Start the clock.
Our music is paid based on performance, Graham, which is probably why it's
they've pulled the plug, haven't they?
I think a key word in that question, give me 2, is consequences, isn't it? Because consequences can be either positive
or negative. Yeah. So we've got Ebony straight in there with quality.
You guys are quick. You were really quick on the live chat here.
Quality maybe, Yeah, quality and customer assistance service will be lower. Staff are rushing work to get paid for the most money. You know, that's that's a little bit of analysis there. We've got some customer service. Motivate to work harder. Piece rate may demotivate staff as they may devalued, as money is not the only motivator. That's an interesting one, because actually we could argue that pay is just a hygiene factor. So it simply reduced dissatisfaction. Paying staff based on their performance can also motivate staff, according to Taylor. That is very, very insightful, as he believes money is the greatest motivator. Obviously, we're not asking for this, but we'd need to develop that a bit. Well, actually, how would the call centre benefit from that? So piece rate can lead to workers rushing their work, leads to a fall in productivity. Also, quality may be less consistent as they aim to work. So lots of great answers. So it's interesting there. I think we're talking about call center. We could try a little bit, to bring the word calls in there, maybe ending calls early, not giving full explanations to customers in order to, to end the call, not, things like that. So that's how we could route that in the context. Shall we have a look at some of our responses? So, excuse me, so provide a financed incentive, staff to deal with their call efficiently, thereby improving labour productivity. That's an interesting one. So maybe doing away with some of the, the initial pleasantries, getting straight to the crux of the call, making calls efficiently as possible, improving labour productivity, which obviously would drive down unit costs, because, fixed costs spread out over more units of output. So staff may have an incentive to deal with the calls quickly, but not necessarily to the satisfaction of the customer. So I think we've got some balance there in terms of, well, actually, it could lead to, customers not, being listened to as well, because, staff have to get through calls in a certain number of time in order to get more pay. That could negatively affect customer satisfaction. So we've got some really good points there about the reputation of the business, customers not being satisfied. That's a really interesting one that Charlotte came up with at the end. And Amy there about staff only focus on getting paid more. So maybe they see every customer as maybe a pound sign, rather than a customer. So some really
it's a good example of piecework, isn't it? Piece rate pay. That's effectively what it is, isn't it?
It is.
Effectively.
It is piece rate.
And we tend to think of piece rate as, how many units does a worker produce in a factory, but actually any pay that is linked to the output, directly to the output, however measured, of a worker. And that can be the case in the service sector as well.
Yeah, I often find, Jim, with things like improving motivation, a lot of students can really apply that really easy to like manufacturing businesses, because they can talk about, well, that can improve labour productivity, which can drive down unit costs, etc. But it's harder to apply to a service style business. For example, improving the motivation rate maybe of staff working in a restaurant. The labour productivity argument doesn't apply as well. So you're looking more for things like better customer service, more attentive waiting staff, things like that. So it's a really, really good example. But unfortunately, I think that's the last activity, Jim.
It is for tonight. Yeah, it is. Well done, everyone who's joined us live. And well, Tom, we'll have a look at that suggestion in terms of timing for when we return. As we mentioned right at the start, we're on just about to get ready to go on our tour now of our A-Level Business Strong Foundations workshop. So if you get a chance to join us in London, 29th and 30th of November at the two Westfield shopping centres, amazing places, really. We're at Birmingham on the 1st of December, and then our first visit to the Trafford Centre in Manchester, to the Odeon there. That's a stunning venue. Really looking forward to that as well, on the 2nd of December. So it's just give me a sort of 30 seconds on Strong Foundations, Graham. It's quite sort of exam skills focused, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's aimed primarily year 13, students, any exam board. And it's just a day dedicated to developing those all-important exam skills. So we got 4 sessions. We got a session on knowledge and understanding and application, a session on analysis, a session on evaluation, and then a final session, which is practice quant skills, numerical concept.
Oh, looks like we've lost G again. Not to worry. I'll get him back. He'll be back soon. So just a quick reminder, we'll hang around live for a few more seconds to get G back. Here he comes. Lost you there, G. Don't know what happened there.
No, I'm back now.
Yeah, so you were saying that, Yeah, we've got an overview of the strong foundations. If you're able to join us, there are still some places. I think London is looking pretty full. But anyway, if you go to tuesday.net, you'll be able to see what is available if you're able to join us on any of those days. And once we're back from that tour, we'll be back with our series of festive revision specials, live stream festive specials for A-Level Business. So subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to get a notification as soon as those dates and times are entered into YouTube's systems. Anything else to say before we finish, G?
No, I mean, I did drop sites, so it may have mentioned it, but please, if you get a chance, we are posting daily content on our Instagram. We're all over the gram. Shoot it to your business, daily revision questions, exam technique, topic videos, business in the news, you name it, we're doing it. It'd be great to see you interact with some of the stuff we're putting on there, and look out for our Christmas live stream special, which takes place, I think, round about after Strong Foundations in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. So we'll alert everyone to when those sessions are lined up, and looking forward to those. But for now, many thanks for everyone who's joined us live. And if you've watched on replay, hopefully if you found it useful too, we'll see you next time. See ya.
Cheers now.